All right, guys. Welcome to the Zoom for this week. Hope you enjoyed your weekend off. Nice mid-season break and raring to go for the second half. And we're well and truly into the wet, cold months. And so now it gets a little bit challenging umpiring-wise at times. So we've got some milestones to announce. So these are from last weekend as well as the upcoming weekend. We had a couple of first Divi 1 games for a couple of goal umpires, Flynn Hall and James Turner. James, I think, setting some sort of record, 11-year-old getting a Divi 1 game. So he started about 3 or 4 years ago when he was an incredibly young age, and he's doing exceptionally well. This coming weekend, we've got our first field umpire Divi 1 debut for the year. So well done to Josh Johnson, who will be doing his first Division 1 game this week. 50th game, Dylan Marshall on the boundary. We've got Greg Franks doing his 100th. 200th game last weekend, it was Michael Raymond. This week it's Ron Rathjen, both field umpires, obviously. And last weekend, Terry Crispin did his 800th game. So well done, Terry, for reaching that milestone. Many of them were with Barry Lewis, so you've done exceptionally well. Well done to all those milestone umpires. There's a reminder that I seem to do every year, at least once a year, about arriving at games. We're just getting too many umpires. I mean, we all run late, but when I get the shits is when you arrive late and don't tell anyone about it. So you're expected to be there 45 minutes before a game. If you are, for whatever reason, running late to a game, get in touch with the umpires you're on with just to let them know. And by that, I mean a phone call, don't a text. Don't assume that they'll actually get the text. You need to make sure they get the message. And if you can't get hold of the umpires for whatever reason, let Peter Angel or myself know, just so that the other umpires aren't wondering where you are. And sometimes Pete and I can do something about it. So just a reminder about that expectation. Okay, fairly important topic of umpire questioning, umpire abuse. Following on from the recent incident in Stanford Juniors, the one that was much publicised. League currently has a low tolerance for umpire abuse. Sign of this, we've got 4 players from last weekend that are being suspended for incidents on the weekend. So I just want to remind you about a few things regarding this, because you can know that the league is going to have your back and they will back you up. But we need to know that there's a few things to keep in mind, that we do the right thing, that we don't contribute to the situation. And there are times where we can resolve things without pulling out a red card or having the league to step in. So some reminders as umpires, let's make sure we always take the high road. We don't return abuse to the players. If they're abusing you, it's no excuse for you that you then abuse them back. Never use sarcastic comments. That only escalates the situation. So a couple of reminders there. If a player or a coach asks for clarification on a decision, use the situation to communicate effectively. It's a good chance to build player rapport and get their respect at times. So doesn't mean just because they question, a decision that you're going to pay a free kick or do something about it. Sometimes there's a legitimate chance to have a conversation, even if it's just a brief one. If there is constant questioning, without being abusive, but it's so relentless, it's noticeable and it's annoying, you don't need to wait for it to be abusive before you do something. So this is where you can tell the players or the coach that they need to stop, or you'll start paying free kicks. So I had a couple of weeks ago in the B grade men's game and then into the women's game, and it works a treat. One time the warning did the trick and the coach just shut up for the rest of the game. The other time, the coach actually did complain when the ball went out of bounds and the club boundary umpire didn't call out of bounds, which on the full, which is what he wanted. I was able to pay a free kick because I'd already warned him about the constant questioning, and that made him stop. The coaches sometimes need a reminder that they're there to coach, not spectate. and there's a few of them that have forgotten that. So we need to play our part in refocusing them. So the question around constant questioning, yes, you can do something about it. And I seem to find it in C grade men's is particularly a problem with the players. So let's not hesitate to, if you notice someone that's a particular concern, nip it in the bud before it becomes a big issue. Point about runners, they shouldn't be questioning free kicks. So again, they can be warned, and if they continue to offend, you can start paying free kicks. If comments from players, coaches or runners are abusive, do not hesitate to pay free kicks straight away, pay 25s or yellow card if you think it's over the top. And then if the abusive comments continue after that, that's where you can escalate it to a red card. There will be times where something is so abusive, so over the top, you jump straight to a red card, but it is actually easier to defend your actions if you've stepped them through the warning, free kick, yellow, up to a red. In those instances, the player has no cause, there's nothing they can say that actually justifies what they've done. So yes, there'll be those times where a red card's immediately needed, but there'll be most times where you can start in the other way. So if you do have any concerns which you want me to follow up with the coaches or the clubs during the week, feel free to send me an email with details, but it's on one proviso, that you've actually done something about it during the game. Don't sit back and don't do anything during a game and then come to me during the week and say, I need you to fix this up because they are a real problem. This is where I need you guys to step up, do something during a game, be proactive, warn, pay free kicks, use cards if you have to, and then notify me that you had real concerns and that there was a real problem. So fair bit in all that. It'll all that be outlined in the notes to send out. Is there any questions or comments that anyone wants to say in regards to that? All right, cool, keep moving. Got a note here from Mark Shaw. Many of you will know Mark's been umpiring with us for a number of years at Adelaide Footy League. He's had a fairly high position in the police force. He's just received a transfer in his work over New South Wales. He's going to be there for some time. So he just wanted to pass on his thanks for all the support and the fact he's enjoyed umpiring with many of you. We won't be seeing him anytime soon. Hopefully one day we'll see him back, but he just wanted to wish everyone well. Alex Manning sent me an email just letting me know that he's doing the Dry July campaign, which is raising money to fight cancer. So I'll include in the coaching notes a link to support him if you'd like to help him out. Something else in the coaching notes I'll send out is just a note about the Power Intercultural Cup, which is a bit like the Aboriginal Power Cup, but this is for it's like a multicultural cup. It happened as well last year. It's on this Friday at Karen Rolton Oval from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. They're after 14 field umpires. Ballsy's already jumped in. He heard about it and got in touch with me. So we have 13 other spots available. First in, first serve. If you want to send me an email and let me know that you're keen, we'll send out a roster. So $150 payment will be made to each umpire for the day. Lunch will be provided. And as I said, just email me if you're keen. I'm in the way of getting through the first half season written feedback. I've handed it out to a handful of umpires. I'll try and get through as many as I can in the next few days. It's like writing a bunch of reports for school kids. I feel like a teacher while I'm doing it. But yeah, the idea is just gives a bit of a summary of the feedback, and you'll get the scores. Don't be too hard on the scores. I know a lot of you really do want to see that. For those that are doing B grade, the scores have much less meaning. They're a bit of an indication of where that observer thinks you would fit if you were going to do an A grade game. The A grade ratings, I'll put that in the email that goes out just to explain how it works. But you don't get too hung up on the scores. If you've got anything you want to discuss with me afterwards, just get in touch. That's all the notes I have for you before we get onto the coaching video. Any comments or questions out of all that? Anything from the weekend's game that anyone wants to bring up before we go into the coaching video? All going too smoothly. Surely, Andre, surely you've got something for us. I shouldn't encourage it, should I? All right, we'll keep moving. All right, let's get on to the coaching video. I would imagine many of you would have received an email from the AFL in the last week or so. And that's because, interestingly enough, they've just put together a resource without any consultation or asking for feedback, and just gone ahead and sent it out to, I think, any registered umpire in on Sporting Pulse. So it was kind of interesting they did that. Fortunately, I think the video is pretty good, and there's not too much to correct in what they say. There is a couple of clarifications on when we look at the video in just a minute. Obviously, their great concern is on head contact and what we're doing to reduce chance of injury. It's not anything new to what we've been talking about for a while now. But yeah, they're obviously really concerned about that from the whole game's perspective, with everything that's going on legally, etc., and just trying to reduce the chance of people getting injured. So they put together this email and this video, which we're going to have a look at now. And let me try and share the screen. Just bear with me. Okay. I'm going to start the video from about the 2.5 minute mark, where the video goes on to dangerous tackles. And we'll have a look at, I think some of the video examples that they have are pretty good. And you'll actually see that there's quite a few examples of AFL umpires not paying a free kick where they're actually wanting it, which is interesting. But it just indicates how difficult an area it is for all of us. I actually saw very early on when I started this role that dangerous tackles were a big issue, and those of you that have been there since I started in 2015 have seen the sort of journey that we've gone on this, and we haven't always got it right with the instructions for how to deal with it. I think we've settled on a pretty good way of going about it though. So yeah, just having a look at this video. I don't think the audio comes through, so I'm hearing it, but I don't think you guys can. I'll just have to talk over it. So the tackle is considered dangerous if the second action. So really, a lot of these times that there is no reason for players to be taken to ground, and really that's a lot of what this message is. If you take them to ground, you're risking a free kick and or report. So he's racked him up, and that's all they should have to do. And then just taking him to ground a second action is just unnecessary. This one was a bad one, which Sean Burgoyne got reported for. I think he got a week or two. So second action is something we're looking for. If it's dangerous through a lift, a drive, a sling. So face planted into the ground is what the commentators say there. That one there, again, just why are we taking him to ground with force? That's a lift and a dump. I think there might have been a suspension for that one as well. So slung, rotated, driven into the ground. I think we're all getting better at identifying what looks dangerous. And if there's any concern, we need to at least pay a free kick. There's a sling there. Again, as you can see, the umpire didn't pick it up there. It's just that if we've got any concern, pay the free kick. and let the players know that they've got a duty of care. This one was a bad one. I think this guy received 4 weeks. It was at AFL level, they do consider the injury, and he was badly concussed, Will Hamill there. And it is about being in a vulnerable position with the player having little opportunity to protect themselves. I should make it a bigger, where it makes it a little bit easier for you to see. That one there, there's not a lot of force, but pins his arms. So if you see the pinning of the arms, that really is, and they take him to ground, that's where they are really vulnerable. Yeah, the driving motion. Good free kick, that would be without it being a report. There's a drive there, again, pinning the arms. No chance for them to protect themselves. Pinning the arms. Again, taking the ground with pinning the arms. That one there, there's a head clash, which is caused by the tackle. Again, pinning the arms, taking the ground. There's a slinging action. It's just, for whatever reason, it's become more and more prevalent in what the coaches are coaching their players that they had to do. And this is why it needs to be adjudicated out of the game, because the way they're being taught to tackle just is that one there, their head is driven into the ground. And we at the Adelaide Footy League, we are very much concerned about the action, not necessarily the result. Whereas at AFL, they do take a lot of consideration into what the result is. Now, this is the bit which, okay, this is the bit where I don't actually agree with what the AFL is saying. They're saying you're going to report them if the player is affected by a dangerous tackle, which is asking umpires to be a bit of a medical expert and determine if the player is injured or not right there and then, just before deciding if they're going to report. We went down that path and it didn't work. You know, it was very hard on the spot to work out if a player was actually injured at the time. So really our procedure is, if you feel it's a serious, dangerous tackle that deserves more than just a free kick, throw to a yellow card, get the player off, send the message is not okay. And then afterwards, when you're assessing it after the game, if you want to upgrade it, that's where you contact me. And if there's video, we'll look at it. If there's not, we'll work through through witnesses or through what you say. We'll work out whether a suspension is warranted. So that's a bit the AFL sort of put in, which I'm not totally comfortable with in working out if it's reportable or not based on the result. There can be times where it's quite a dangerous tackle and the player doesn't get injured just for pure luck. That's it for all the video examples. So, any comments or questions on any of that?
Hi, Colin. It's Greg.
Greg?
There was a dangerous tackle and the team basically played on, took advantage, I called advantage play on. I didn't get a chance, obviously, then to go back and sort out with the player who did the tackle, give them some instruction. But I didn't want to disadvantage the team. Any thoughts on?
So was it one that you wanted to give a yellow card to?
No, it wasn't yellow card worthy, but it was a dangerous tackle. And I would have normally, in other circumstances, taken time to give instructions.
No, so just make it clear, you paid the free kick for a dangerous tackle and pay the advantage. If it is one where you think a card is warranted, I wouldn't pay advantage in those situations. It's something where you need to get the player off sometimes, and getting the player off is more important than giving the team an advantage. So if it's a serious, dangerous tackle, stop the play, get the player off, and then give the free kick once it's all sorted. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thanks, Colin.
Cool. And we appreciate it's a tough area. I think we do. where we went really hard on it about 3 or 4 years ago, we got the message out that, you know, it was something that players needed to change their behaviour. And I think we've actually seen a big improvement in that area. We've noticed in women's footy, it's been a bit of an issue. And that's why earlier this year I said, let's go hard on it. Again, if you're umpiring women's footy, be really aware that you've got quite a number of players that are new to the game that haven't been taught how to tackle properly, and that we do seem to get a few more dangerous tackles in women's footy than we do the men for whatever reason. Yeah, let's just keep paying the free kicks, and where the cards are necessary, let's issue the cards. I'm going to show one in a minute that happened on the weekend. Jerry and Steve, Jerry Smith and Steve Pryor handled it really well. Any other questions or comments before we do that? All right, let's have a look at it. Just bear with me. Okay. All right, so it's Mitcham Walkerville. Let's play the video. The dangerous tackle there, slung to the ground, vulnerable position, actually pinned the arms and slammed his head into the ground. So Steve comes in to assist. Jerry was in control. So let's see if I can get that playing again. So they obviously got in touch with me after the game to say that they'd issued a yellow card and they wanted it looked at. So again, the whole idea about the yellow is to take away the confusion at the time. Is it a yellow? Is it a red? And when we used to try and distinguish the difference, we'd have too many times where it was going one way or the other and it was the wrong way. So we understand the difficulty. Unless you are 100% certain that it is absolutely definitely a red card, which you need to act on right there and then, just pull the yellow. So in this case, pins the arm and then continues. The ball spilt loose, doesn't need to take him to the ground, slings him to the ground, hits the head. So a good decision to give the yellow. Now, what happens after it, interestingly enough, there's actually that player, that number 28 for Mitcham, comes in, and the guys didn't see it on the day, but it's shown on the video that he actually strikes the Walkerville player. So these two cases are going to tribunal this Wednesday night. So the Mitcham player who did the tackle was going up in a dangerous tackle. The 28 for Mitcham comes in, is going up in a striking offence. But what Steve did see, and I fully support him in what he did, he saw Walkerville come in and vigorously, I guess, stand up for their player and start pushing and shoving, and he actually reversed the decision. So if you see that the players are taking control and they want to, you know, not allow you to do your work and actually make things worse, coming in and pushing guys to the ground and grabbing hold of them, you can reverse that, even though they're dangerous tackles serious. If the revenge is seen as equally worthy of a free kick, feel free to reverse. What Steve's and Jerry's message was, we've got this under control. We're given a yellow card for a dangerous tackle. You didn't need to come in and start doing what you've done. Because you've come in and then made things harder for us, we're going to actually reverse the free kick here. But let it be known that we're going to go to afterwards. We're going to investigate the dangerous tackle, and it can be taken further. So the guys handled that really well, and we'll see what unfolds at the tribunal. So yeah, any comments or questions about all that? Jerry, do you want to actually say anything on what was going through your mind and how you felt at the time?
Well, at the time, the incident of the tackle made me feel a bit sick, to be honest. There was just no need for it. And I saw the bloke's head hit the ground, and I knew it was serious straight away. And I just went through the process, like, get in there quickly, get a presence in there because it had the potential to get volatile. Make sure the guy's off the ground straight away. And I was just trying to keep track of who the player was and who was involved. And so I was watching that, and I was lucky I had Steve there, who's an experienced umpire, and could see what was going on the side. And so the Walkerville players basically attacked the guy that did the dangerous tackle, and they shoved him straight back down into the ground and pushed him. So he reversed that, and that was great. And I just got the guy off the ground. Obviously, we had to wait a while, so there was a fair bit of discussion going on, and we were able to talk to the Walkerville players and explain to them that, you know, we would look at it.
Yeah, and you know, and the guys don't all understand the process. So the Walkerville after the game were wondering why a red card wasn't given out at the time. Well, you know, it's on the interpretations video. The guys were able to explain what would happen. So the important thing is that player got sent off. And Jerry told me today he didn't know that tackle had pinned the arm, so he didn't have a full view of it, and it just happened so quickly. So all he knew was it was a serious one. In the instance where there's retaliation and there's a whole lot of stuff happening, if you don't send a player off with a yellow, just get him off the field, you're going to make life really hard for yourself. If a card hadn't been given in that instance and you just paid a free kick, or you hadn't seen it, or, you know, whatever, it's going to be really tough going. But because they handled it just the way we wanted it to, things were able to settle down. And now we can take it you know, to the tribunal and get it sorted out in the right manner.
I'll just say, Colin, the captain coach from Walkerville was aware of the process, so he was really good and he was really calm afterwards. He actually said to us, "I know you guys can only do the yellow card for this, but I want it to be looked at further." So he was really calm about it. Actually, he was quite good.
Yeah, good. And again, if you guys think right on the spot, you're in 100% in your mind, that needed to be a red and I need to be really strong with it, we'll back you in. But that yellow card instruction is just to make things easier, knowing that there have been times over the years, a number of times, where we've given red cards and we've taken, you know, and it didn't need to be, we've had to withdraw it. So the instructions there on the basis that we understand how difficult it can be in the split second. That's only for dangerous tackles. Don't think you can give a yellow card for a strike and then ask us to upgrade it during the week. They're the type of offences you need to be strong on if you if you want that action to be you know, suspended in future weeks. For other offences, it's just for dangerous tackles we can give a yellow and upgrade it.
Yeah, could I just, on that, I mean, you see these tackles nearly every game. You're going to get one of them nearly every game you umpire. Now, did this guy actually get concussed? Was he concussed?
Yeah, he did. But Andre, yes, there are cases like that. I wouldn't say in every game, quite reasonably regularly, but there are ones not as serious as that where we can just pay a free kick. Yeah, again, we're not giving a yellow or a red based on the fact that this guy was concussed. He was concussed.
Right, he was. I'm just
saying we're looking at getting a suspension here because we see that as a higher end dangerous tackle.
No doubt, and it was a very dangerous tackle. Yeah. The impact was very, very ferocious. But those same two umpires, if he didn't get cause, if he went straight up, hypothetically, if he went straight up and bounced stuff, would have they given a yellow card? I'll be interested to hear from them if they actually instinctively would have given that yellow.
Yeah, speaking to Jerry, I can answer for him. Yes, he would have. And we've had some good examples over the years where suspensions were handed out where the guy bounced up. So if there's two actions with a lift, with a big drive to the ground, and the guy's just lucky not to be injured, a suspension can still result. We are not basing it on the injury. Right. We're not basing it on injury. So don't go around if you're working out whether it's you're gonna speak to me about upgrading it or what you're gonna do based on whether they're hurt or not. Base it on the action.
Yep. Okay.
So I can categorically say I would have given the yellow straight away because, as you know, a few weeks before, I'll admit it, there was one where I should have paid that yellow card.
Yep. I've been doing a lot of the girls in right, Colin. There is a lot of girls who just started in the game, etc., and more the bigger girls, etc. They do sort of have a lack of knowledge of the right art of tackling, and there's quite a few of those ferocious tackles. Yeah, I mean, they do, you know, they do bounce up straight away, etc. And I don't see
there are times where they just
yellow cards for that, to be quite honest, of the time that I've been umpiring, which is not that long.
It doesn't always have to be a yellow card. You can
Yep.
just pay a free kick if the force isn't that strong, but there's an unnecessary drive, unnecessary sling, unnecessary lift. There's not a huge amount of force. You can just pay a free kick. But if there's any concern, make sure at least it's a free kick. And if you think it's a more serious example, don't hesitate to pull the yellow. And then contact me after the game if you think it needs to be taken further.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And if you look through that AFL video, I mean, I could have done it, I suppose, when we were watching it, but you'd be able to go, that one's a free kick, that one's a card. You know, like the Sean Burgoyne one, that's a card. The Lockie Murphy one, that's a card. I don't know the Melbourne player. Who was the Melbourne player that put Will Hamill into the ground? That's a card. If you don't card that, you're going to have serious problems trying to control that game. But there are a number of others in that video where it's just a free kick. You know, it's not. There's something somewhat dangerous about the tackle, but it's there are different levels to dangerous tackle, and that's why we understand it's difficult. But better to pay it than not. If you've got any concern, just pay the free kick. All right. Anyone else want a comment, question before we wind up?
Colin, just quickly, can you just reiterate what you've said before about a yellow doesn't necessarily mean a 25, sorry. Players always call for it.
I don't get this. I really just don't understand it. So, yeah, for whatever reason, if there's a card, everyone wants an automatic 25. If there is a free kick first or a mark first, and then the reportable or the act occurs where you're going to send them off for, then it's a 25. But so say in the case of a dangerous tackle, the player has had a high tackle just before, and then he's slammed into the ground. That's a free kick for the high tackle, and then a 25 for the dangerous tackle. But if all you're paying the free kick and the card for is the dangerous tackle, that's just a free kick on the spot.
Just a quick one on that, Cole.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I had one a few weeks back where there was a guy tackled someone. The guy wasn't hurt at all and didn't hit his head, but I paid a free kick and I advertised the fact that this kind of tackle could be very dangerous. And I yelled it out, you know, when they gave the free kick. Players are saying he's taking the free kick, he's not even hurt. But I said no, but I said it could have been very dangerous because the guy was swung around just a little bit, but he obviously wasn't hurt, but it was just a free kick. But they all got the message, and after that there weren't even more problems. That was a C grade game. Again,
we're penalising the action rather than the result.
Yeah. And you let them know, and they realise it then.
No, that's true. Yeah. But getting back to James's point, that's not just about dangerous tackles. If there's a card or reportable incident, you only need to pay 25 if it's after a mark or free kick. If you're reporting something or sending someone off, and it's only that action that's caused you to blow the whistle, then you just pay it on the spot. All right. Thanks, guys. We've got through a bit tonight. If you haven't yet watched that AFL video, feel free to. There's some good examples on it. Just disregard the bit about if the player's injured, you report. We do it a little bit differently. Other than that, it's a really good resource. All right, and don't forget to email me if you're keen to umpire this Friday in the Multicultural Carnival at Karen Rolton. I'm sure I'll get plenty of requests for that. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you Wednesday night.